Welcome to another edition of Breaking News brought to you by Source Selection Soundbites. Today we will discuss the case of Remedy Biz, Inc., decided at the General Accountability Office, or GAO. This case is a post-award bid protest arising out of a solicitation to establish a blanket purchase agreement to implement a modern acquisition management system. The evaluation factors included capability of key personnel, the oral presentation and slide deck, price, and other factors. The agency planned to evaluate quotation in 3 phases. Remedy Biz was among the most highly rated, so it was evaluated in all phases, so it was one of the last 2 vendors in Phase 3. But after the consideration of the facts, the agency chose Centennial Technologies, a competitor. Upon hearing the decision, Remedy Biz decided to protest the award. The protester challenged the agency's assessment of its and Centennial Technologies' quotations under the oral presentation and key personnel evaluation factors. Remedy Biz asserts that the agency relied on unstated evaluation criteria to distinguish between quotations. The protester challenges the evaluation under the oral presentation factor, contending that the agency was not permitted to criticize Remedy Biz and praise Centennial Technologies based on who participated in the oral presentations. In addition, they asserted it was unreasonable for the agency to downgrade it under the key personnel factor because one of the key personnel was a contingent hire, which the solicitation allowed. The agency responds that its evaluation was reasonable and consistent with the RFQ. As for the first assertion, according to the RFQ's instructions, the purpose of the oral presentations was for the agency to understand vendors' technical and management approaches for implementing the AMS directly from the vendor. The agency responded to the second assertion by maintaining that it was reasonable for the evaluators to identify a contingent hire for a key personnel position as a risk, even if the vendor submitted a tentative or contingent offer letter. En route to finding against the contractor, the court, with respect to the oral presentations, found that the RFQ explicitly notified vendors that the purpose of the oral presentations was for the agency to understand vendors' technical and management approaches for implementing the AMS directly from the vendor, and explicitly required that the vendor bring 3 key personnel to the presentation. In this context, the GAO found that the RFQ adequately informed vendors that the agency would evaluate whether and how well the key personnel delivered the oral presentation. In addition, the GAO determined that the risk of the availability of personnel is a reasonable concern that could be evaluated given the circumstances. Given these facts, the GAO denied the oral presentation and key personnel protest grounds. Now let's address a few of the lessons learned from this protest. They include: 1. Given adequate notice in the solicitation, the agency may consider how the key personnel delivered the presentation. 2. The agency may consider something to be a risk even though the solicitation allows it. And 3. The agency may consider things not explicitly mentioned in the solicitation as long as the issue considered is encompassed by existing language. In this episode of Source Selection Soundbites, we discuss the Remedy Biz case and the principles of oral presentations and key personnel associated with it. This concludes today's Source Selection Soundbite. If this video was helpful, hit the like and subscribe button to ensure you don't miss any new material. If you want more details on the subject, they are available on the Source Selection Answer app. It contains lectures, quizzes, court cases, sample documents, and more material that allows practitioners to quickly obtain actionable knowledge. Thanks for watching. See you next time.